Okay, so this is just a small editor script that helps you sort a ton of objects when you're importing them. So let's say that you have hundreds of 3D models that you need to import, like this. As you can see, I have 185 selected, and I import all of those in. I actually have those right here. And I want to bring those all into my scene and sort them out quick. Select them here, drag them onto a game object that's at 0, 0, 0. You're going to notice that this is at 0, 0, 0. Get the Unity package that's in the description. It's 2 kilobytes. It's 2 scripts, very small. And all the script does is basically it lets you define a grid size, which is how many objects are in a row before a new column gets started, and then how much spacing you want on the X and the Z axis, and it just puts them at the 0 on the Y. So you can modify that if you want to. But it's right here. It goes for each game, for each child that I have. Determine an X position based on the grid size and the gap, which gets the absolute position of I, the number of the child, divided by the grid size, times the grid size, and then times that by the gap. That makes the X value. And then for the Z, it says the absolute value for I divided by the grid size, and then it multiplies that by gap, Z. And then just says, hey, put my local position to that X value and that Z value, and let's just put a 0 on the Y. And then there's editor script, which goes in the /editor folder that just puts a button in the inspector on it. And that's what this does right here. So if you look into the inspector and I add a component called grid, put children in grid is the name of the script. Because right now I got 185 game objects in one. Let's separate these things out so we can actually see what's going on here. I'm going to try a grid size of 100 with a gap of 5 on each. And I say put children in grid. So because there's 185 objects, that's obviously is going to make 2 rows, 2 columns. And the rows are going to be 100 long. This one almost has 100, but it's not quite 85. So that's too long for 185. Let's chop this down to 10 with a gap of 5 and 5. Put children into the grid. There we go. And you don't want to move this one because it's at 0, 0, 0, but just to help me see, I could go down here and look at these objects real quick and say, hey, that's pretty good. I might want a little bit more spacing because some of those objects are going into each other. So if I want more spacing, then all I'm going to do is select this. Let's get the, of course, make the spacing up a little bit, 8 by 8. There we go. That looks good. And one more example. Let's say I have 600 trees. I would select all of them. I'd see I have 663 selected. I'm going to import all these. Okay, now that that's imported, we are going to take 660 something game objects and bring those all into one game object that's at 0, 0, 0. And this is awful because I have 600 objects right here. I can't see anything. So I'm going to... Hey, it already has put children in grid script. This time I'm going to do a grid size of 100 with a gap of 2. There it is. Look at all those trees. This is amazing. Okay, well, I want to do a grid size of 50 with a gap of 3. And again, you can change the gap for the X and the Z. So say I wanted one more than the other. If you put the Z, that's going to put more space in the columns as it's going down. So There we go. Now it's easier to see these things. You don't want to do that because you got to keep that guy at 0, 0, 0. So to make things a little bit better, I'm just gonna take a look at these guys like this. It looks good, guys. I put a link to the asset pack, 2 scripts, in the description. Click that and check it out. And if you want to check out these hundreds of objects, there's a link to the asset store as well. Check those out. Really good, really cool, low poly models. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps you out somehow. It doesn't really have to do with VR, but the next video is going to be really good. Something about VR. Don't miss it. See you soon.